Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be the fantasy of your ex. Well, I've got an email update from a guy whose email I originally answered probably sometime in the past year called I Feel Numb All the Time. And in that video, he detailed how he was really struggling and he was suffering emotionally because he had broken up with a woman who just basically screwed him over. And he really was emotionally attached to the way things were. So he gives us an update. He applied what he learned in my book and as well as what he learned in 7 Principles to Get an Ex Back video and article that I did a couple years ago. And he was able to attract her back. And so he details what he did and said to get her back, what he learned from that experience, and why he decided to not stick with her long term. And as I've said many times, and I got to experience firsthand when I really started learning this stuff, when I got an ex back that had blown me off, friend-zoned me a couple times, and I finally got to have a relationship with her, what I realized in that was that everything that turned you off about that person, it's like they don't stop magically being that person. I mean, most of the time when it doesn't work the first time around, it ain't going to work the second time around. Now, that's not 100% true in all cases. Sometimes guys get complacent in their long-term relationships or their marriages, and the women are thinking about leaving them and ending it. And once they change their behavior and start dating and courting them properly and communicating and understanding them, they're able to turn things around and they end up staying together long-term. But for the average person who's trying to get an ex back, this is a really good email to go through just so you can see both sides of it. Because the key is to remain objective, and it's really excruciatingly difficult to do that when your heart wants what it wants. But what we're going to discuss is attachment and also the importance of enjoying yourself and enjoying your life and being happy, because that's one of the things that this guy realized after he got to be together with his ex the second time around was he was looking to her for his happiness. So I got a quote that I wrote on this topic, and then we're going to go through his email and see what his update is. And again, the original email newsletter that I did for him, I think it was in the past year, was titled, I Feel Numb All the Time. So the quote says, when it comes to getting an ex back or rekindling a romance that did not work the first time around, the overwhelming majority of couples do not stay together long term. Why? It's never so much that we miss the person we lost, but instead it's more about the fact we are emotionally attached to the fantasy of who we thought they were or wanted them to be. Human beings choose to do or buy things based upon emotion, and they use logic and reason to justify their decisions. It's always best to look at the pros and cons of any personal, professional, or purchase decision based upon the facts, stats, history, actions, and reality, instead of letting our emotions blind us to reality. We can ignore reality temporarily, but we can never escape the consequences of ignoring reality. So, he says, hey Corey, just thought I'd provide an update to my situation here as it touches on a lesson you repeatedly teach, but is often ignored. That being, getting back with an ex almost never works out. As you explain in the video response to my email, allowing myself to feel and experience negative emotions and sensations of grief definitely helped expedite the heartbreak process. Well, as you probably heard me say many times, you have to feel it to heal it. And especially as guys, we're taught since we're very young not to experience or express any emotions. And so when things for the average guy don't feel well, versus like when women are upset, they cry, they get emotional, they talk to their friends and their girlfriends about it, they feel it, they heal it, and they move through it. Women typically tend to get over breakups quicker than guys do, and I believe a big part of the reason why is that guys do everything they can to avoid feeling things inside that they don't like feeling. And what you resist in life will persist. And one of the things that this guy did, which you'll see in a minute, is he really took time to feel and be authentically present with his emotions. And that's just something that a technique that I learned through my spiritual pursuits and studying different spiritual traditions, and also what I learned from network chiropractic care, and how when you don't experience something that's unpleasant, it gets stored as muscle tension in your nervous system. Another big reason why I'm such a huge advocate of network chiropractic care. And if you're interested in learning about network chiropractic care and how it can help you move forward and get unstuck, if you will, it's just Google Corey Wayne, how to become more confident and sure of your actions. And I go in depth and detail what it actually is, what it does, and how it can benefit you. And it also has links in there back to Dr. Donnie Epstein's website, where you can locate and see if there's a practitioner near you that's level 3 certified in your country, in your city. So let's get back to his emails. He says, experiencing the negative emotions and sensations of grief definitely help expedite the heartbreak process. As it passed through me, I started focusing on my own life goals, which really felt like a rebirth of sorts, and further moved my mind away from the broken relationship. That's like a lot of people, they come to work, they're like, what's the quick pickup line? What's the quick fix? What do I got to say to turn this shit around? And 99% of the time, it's about you and how you view yourself, what you think of yourself, how much you love yourself, or if you don't love yourself at all, and getting refocused on you and making you happy and creating a life and lifestyle that you're proud of. Because when you do that, you become happier. And the happier you are, the more attractive you're going to be to members of the opposite sex. This was a natural process that took very little effort on my part. All I had to do was stop fighting the pain, and the pain eventually started fading away. So of course, this is when my ex decided to reach out. And there was a video that I did, one of my most popular videos several years ago, I think it was called When You Stop Caring, Results Come. And I touched on that. I focused on that. When you're able to just let go of your attachment to your outcome, or the way you think things should be, or the way you want them to be, that helps you accept the reality of the present moment as it is. Because anytime we don't accept things the way they are, and we don't experience that pain, we're going to suffer. Because in our minds, we're thinking about something that happened in the past, or something that may or may not happen in the future. That takes us out of the present moment. When we don't live in the present moment, we don't accept reality as it is, we are going to suffer because of it. It was 6 weeks or so into the no contact phase. And when I say no contact, that means no contact. That means that's it. That means you're done forever. That means if the other person doesn't reach out to you, you will never speak again for as long as you live. That means no birthdays, no hope you had a great day, no stalking their Facebook page and send it. It's just literally that person doesn't exist to you anymore. And you focus 100% on moving on and meeting someone new. Because there's other people that are in the same industry that I am. They say, well, I'll go no contact for 30 days. And then you start texting and pursuing and reaching out. And I've talked to so many people that have tried that approach, and they never get anywhere other than being stuck in friend zone or being a backup while the woman goes and explores other dudes. Because if you're the one that got rejected and dumped and pushed away, the other person needs to earn another chance with you, not the other way around. But if you're not seeing yourself as a prize or a gift or an awesome person to be with, then you'll in essence lower your standards and how you view yourself, and you'll start pursuing and doing things that are really disrespectful to yourself. And when you act that way, you're basically acting like you have no value and you're unworthy. And when you act that way and you think that way, you behave that way, you talk that way, other people will treat you exactly how you view yourself. She sent me an email after 6 weeks, and it looked like it was meant for someone else. I immediately knew what the deal was. She simply threw out some bait to see if she'd get a bite. It's typically what they do. It's like you can imagine like a little girl running down to the ocean who's never been in the ocean before, sticks her toe in the water, and as the water starts to come up on the beach and get a little deeper, she turns around and runs away. And it's kind of like what women do. That's why I say you walk and you never fucking look back. Never means never. It doesn't mean never for a few weeks or a few days or until you can't take it anymore, and then you reach out and you continue pursuing. Your attitude is, if you don't value what we had and what I have to offer enough to talk and communicate and work things out and make a mutual effort, you're never going to see me again. You don't have to say that. It's just walking away. The silence is deafening. The quickest way to get somebody else's attention is to remove yours. And if you never hear from them again, they really didn't care for you in the first place. You're the one that, if they push you away, they have to be the ones to rekindle it. That's why I talk about 7 principles getting X back. Initially, I didn't reply. I was happy with the progress I'd made and thought it best just to leave her in the past and continue moving forward. And that's really what he should have done, but intellectually that sounds great, but when you really feel that you miss somebody and you're attached to them, especially, because remember, rejection breeds obsession. When you're pushed away and then that person that you just been thinking about for so long, you want them back, and then you start to be like okay with them being gone, and then they reach out. Again, people buy based upon emotion, and they use logic and reason to justify their purchase. However, the good thing is, when you apply these things and you get a second chance with that person, you get to be the one that ends it. And you're never going to be walking around the rest of your life wondering, what if? What would it have been like if I'd have gotten a second chance? However, as the hours rolled by, I foolishly let memories and nostalgia break my resolve and become compelled by what I see now as nothing more than feelings of comfort to respond. Well aware of her angle, I played along and asked if the email was meant for me. She offered up some BS explanation about her computer freezing, which led to her frantically pounding keys and accidentally sending the message. Sure, she made that shit up. She don't want to look bad. Doesn't want to admit the truth, and that's part of the problem with this particular woman, is she's dishonest. So telling a little white lie like that, that's like blinking to her. I considered ranting about how her explanation made zero sense, but I've pretty much learned my lesson regarding women and logic, so I opted with simply saying, oh, okay. Long story short, we started talking and spending time together again. Predictably, it was only 2 or 3 weeks before the same issue that led to the breakup started making itself present. Up until that point, our reconnection was filled remedying feelings of longing, holding tight to something that we perceived as lost. Remember, it's not so much that you miss them, you miss the idea of the fantasy of who you thought they were or who you wanted them to be. And this guy intellectually, he knew that, he said that to himself, but what won out? Emotions. Why? Because we make decisions based upon strong emotions, and the stronger the emotion is, the harder it is to do the right thing. And that's why it's so important for people who are learning my work for the first time and starting to apply these things, which are, a lot of it is the exact opposite of what you've been taught you should do, think you should do, or conditioned to do in these instances. And when you still really care about somebody and you're learning this new stuff, if you have no other options, you're not going to have anybody to practice on and get better. And then when the other person does come back, you're still in a scarcity mindset, so you'll remember, rejection breeds obsession, so you'll tend to overcompensate by pursuing and trying to force things, which just pushes the other person away. It was like a drug, and we satisfied the craving with utter disregard to the consequences. As soon as the intensity of the honeymoon period was over, we found ourselves right back in the former dynamic. The resentment, distrust, and personality conflicts still resided between us, and we've been willfully ignoring reality in order to get our fix. This reconnection lasted about 2 months before I realized I needed to walk away which I did without looking back. This leads to my point. I'm willing to bet 90% of all people who seek out an ex do so not because that person is good for them or enhances their life, but because they suffer from deep feelings of attachment. Absolutely. You're attached to the fantasy, and you just ignore the reality of what it is. And you talk yourself into it. You ignore all things will be different this time. I got more knowledge. I can fix them. The reason I stayed in such an unhealthy relationship was not because I was so deeply in love, but because I was thoroughly attached. If I'm being honest with myself, this attachment was mostly driven by insecurity. Love and affection from someone else is addictive when you don't truly love yourself. In other words, you're in a place where you're looking to the other person to complete you. In other words, complete what you feel you lack, instead of sharing your completeness. It's the difference between needing. Needing is a statement of lack versus love, which is a statement of giving. The difference between this breakup and the last one is I no longer need her to fill the perceived emptiness inside myself. Yeah, because he's focused on his purpose and his mission in life. In just a few short months, I found the satisfaction that comes with overcoming challenges, and progressing through life has brought me a happiness I could never get from her or anyone else for that matter. Yeah, people that come to me and they've never dated the kind of person they want, and they tell themselves, like I once did when I was younger, if I just get the perfect person, if I just get somebody that I feel like is the caliber of woman I've always dreamt and felt I deserved, that'll solve everything. Just like we say, once I become rich, or once my business takes off, or once I become the CEO or I have that career that I want, then I'll be happy. And then you get those things and you're like, is that it? Is that all there is? She's just a pretty face among millions of others, and she'll never give me anything more profound than I can give myself. This is not corny rhetoric, it's absolute truth. A message to my fellow man enduring heartbreak. In short, getting your ex back is not only overrated, but misguided. But at the end of the day, when you get the opportunity to get that ex back and experience them, and then you see the situation for what it really is, just like this person did, just like I did, and thousands of other clients of mine have seen over the years, you're able to walk away with peace of mind that you gave it all you had. You got to explore everything. And then the second time around, you can walk away on your terms, which feels incredibly liberating, and it feels like you got your power back. The fantasy of it is much more glamorous than the reality. Ultimately, there is nothing more exciting than becoming a new and improved man. When you start seeing the world through the new eyes inherent with self-evolution, your ex will become less significant than what you had for breakfast this morning. That's a great statement. Very true. So if you'd like to get my help personally, go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. If you haven't read my book yet, you can read it for free instantly by going to my website and subscribing to the newsletter. And if you're subscribed to the newsletter, you're like, how do I get back to the members area and read the book? Every single newsletter that goes out, there is an image of the book that says instant access, the little blue button just like my website has. If you click that in any newsletter that you've gotten recently, it'll take you right back to the members area. I get quite a few emails from people going, how do I get back there? I tried to resubscribe and it says I'm already resubscribed. If you get that message and you can't find anything in your spam folder, or you deleted all those emails, then just unsubscribe, then resubscribe yourself, and then you'll get a link in your email. Unsubscribe, wait for 5 minutes, and then resubscribe, and you'll be able to get back in there. So if you want to get my help personally, again, go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen on any page, and book whichever coaching option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.